Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary or the situation report for the day of 1058 to 1060 for the 16th to the 18th of January. This report also includes all the latest geolocation and frontline changes up to this point of recording, which is actually towards the middle or the end of 19th of January in Ukraine. So this is not just until the 18th, but all the way until the 19th, except that in terms of the Defense Ministry reports, I do not map them in for the 19th of January's report. Only like the morning one because it's still describing changes from yesterday. So that's what it is. So we're gonna do anti-clockwise direction, and we're going to start off from the Kherson front. So at the Kherson front, we have fighting being reported in the Dnipropetrovsk or Dnipro direction. Unknown where the fighting is. Probably might be this area, but yeah, we do not know where it is, and I don't think it's meaningful. It's going to be pretty skirmishy. Shelling is being reported at Ivanivka, and that's about it. We move on to the Zaporizhia front. At the Zaporizhia front, over at the Kayamsky sector, we have fighting reported at Kurakhove and Kayamsky. These are all skirmishes. We have all these are one-day reports. You see, these are both on the 16th, and there is a geolocation of helicopter guided missile strike over in Kayamsky, but that's all. Nothing particularly special. Over in the Kurakhove sector, we have fighting reported at Novosilka and Malatomashka. There is airstrikes being geolocated by military submarines team, where there is multiple airstrikes being reported south of Malatomashka or around Robotine region, and this feels pretty significant to me. And we have the Dnipro direction, Novodanilivka fighting on the 16th and 18th. There's nothing on the 17th because it was a summary of the whole week. So there might be some kind of active operations along this line that now is attracting airstrikes so that the Russians can then move forward. There's a possibility that's the case because we haven't seen airstrikes in this region for a long time. So at least not in the geolocation reports. So this is actually interesting to me. FPV drone strikes maybe, but you see this is on the 14th. There was an airstrike as well. So there must be some kind of intensification of operations in the Kurakhove sector. Something that we should look out for, I think. Malatomashka 15 and 16 as well. So this is like a full front activation possible. So we move on over the Ohuepole sector. There is fighting reported on the 16th as well, but that's all. Nothing much. It's probably just a skirmish thing. And it will go into the V.Novosilka sector, where one of the major collapse and encirclement is currently happening. Fighting is reported at Temerivka and Novosilka, and there is this claim by the Ukrainian in terms of the front line, so this straightened the front line, which makes a lot more sense. And then over in the Vremivka, Velika Novosilka region, the Russian forces fully captured Vremivka, and they have captured the entire of this town, and they have taken all the positions around it. The conquest of Vremivka was preceded with a TOS strike, thermobaric rocket strikes, which would basically kill all living things in the target region. And I mean it, like all living things, because the temperature will go up to like thousands of degrees, so it's instant death for any living thing, unless they are plants like trees. Maybe they might survive, maybe. But no, everything else, unless they're roots, yeah, everything, insects, birds, all the, I think they're dead. North of east of Nekushny or north of Blahodane, the Russian forces have also moved north, squeezing up towards the south of Velika Novosilka. There is no indications that the Russians have pushed into the suburbs or the residential area in the south of Velika Novosilka. The line is holding over here. However, the two only crossing for the Ukrainians is now under Russian control, or at least Russian fire control. There is no way the Ukrainians can retreat from Velika Novosilka right now. unless they cross the Mokriali River, they swim across the river. The river is around 50 meters, maybe. Yeah, yeah, it's probably 50 meters wide. So that's yeah. So it would be a good swim. In the freezing winter. In the north, the Russian forces have entered into Velika Novosilka with the Ukrainian mapping, conceding that the Russian forces have taken all of the outskirts in the north and then entering into the northern or northeastern part of Velika Novosilka. So the squeeze is on. I reported this in a quick update, and let's see how this continue to play out. So we move on from Velika Novosilka. We move into this Constantinople, Kurakhove region. So Constantinople region, Russian forces attacking in the direction of Bahatir. Fighting is reported at Constantinople and Ulakli. And Constantinople was until the 16th, Bahatir is until the 16th. The focus is now all on Ulakli, which is 16th all the way to 18th, because this is probably where the Russian forces is now putting all its attention on, like this, as this is the only road out of this salient. So this salient is now in danger. The Ukrainian forces have to retreat right now, and I believe that it is this retreating operation is now under stress by the Russian forces as they try to squeeze in. So the Russians stop attacking Roslev, Bahatir, Constantinople. They're all focusing on Ulakli. And the other forces is now focusing on closing the salient with fighting reported at Dashne, Kurakhove region, Yantarne. Then there is frontline changes mapped by the Ukrainian side showing that the land south of Dashne is starting to collapse. Geolocation of Russian forces shows that they have advanced around the south of Sterlitany, which means and then they were hit by FPV drone strikes, if I'm not wrong. So Ukrainian forces is probably still holding around at Dashne region, probably to cover the retreat to attract attention to themselves. However, this does not change that the Russians are advancing in from Sukiali as well. So this is getting quite desperate. The situation is getting quite desperate, and the fighting is now reported over in Andriivka and Shevchenko as well. So this entire operation for the Ukrainians is now a disaster. Like no, why are they always putting themselves in salient is beyond me. But they are, and then every time they are always stuck with one road or two roads, which is super vulnerable. And again, we are seeing this happening again. So either that, or we have to give the credits to the Russian forces for pulling off very good tactical maneuvers and to force the Ukrainian into retreats. So yeah, so either way, let's see which one you prefer. And this syrup is a bit late. So yeah, because I was pretty burnt out, I'm just very tired, and yeah, I just unable to keep up with the schedule I put myself through. So yeah, I'm doing too many things. Like I went from once upon a time it was one video a day, then I'm doing two videos a day. Now I'm trying to do like six, which is yeah, I can't keep up. So but yeah, but tentatively no choice. The viewership is a bit low, so I have to make up for the lower income, and which is why if you guys want to support me, do consider becoming a Patreon member. The link is in the description below. Become a Patreon member, because that's the best place. Generally speaking, if not, you can just donate through Coffee. Because these two places have minimal cuts. So YouTube membership, you can also, but 30% will go to YouTube. So Russian forces captured Slovianka, moved westward. Findings reported at Petropavlivka, confirmed by geolocations. And Russian forces also captured Yasinove and then swing southern flank of Novo Andriivka. And then they have also attacked Novo Andriivka as well as Sripne. So largely this area here, other than the captures, strategically nothing have changed. So that's all. We move further up north. Over at this Pokrov sector, the Russian forces have continued to attack Uspenivka. There's some slight frontline changes, not significant. and their Russian forces have entered into Udashny as they continue to expand on their foothold on this railway forest, and they have also attacked into the east of Kotline, expanding control north of Vovkove and Pischane, which is pretty impressive. They are definitely now, can't gotten rid of, because the stronghold, the foothold now is too strong, even for a Ukrainian counterattack to like negate. So they're going to be here for good now. Russian forces captured Pischane, fighting towards Vivrove was reported. Towards Pokrov, Shevchenko was mentioned. It might be the Shevchenko in the south, not sure. And fighting is reported Virozhenia, and there is also fighting reported Zeleny. So this is pretty much more or less the same situation as per the last quick update about this region here. Multiple geolocation of drone strikes and is reported around Pokrov. So, but that's all. Situation remains pretty bad as the Russians probably continues to do what I say that they are doing, which is to move to the other highway. They have already cut this highway, which is something that I said they're going to plan. They seem to be planning to do, and I think the other direction is to go to the border, because this will be a massive PR victory for the Russians. So I think this is going to happen. Over at the Minokhrad sector, we have fighting reported over at Lysivka, Promin, and Mariolivivka. And as I always say, this is a stagnant line. Tentatively, the Russians have no reasons to push on. To me, it's just a surprise that Lysivka is still under Ukrainian control, which is a kind of a surprise to me. So over in the northern flank of the Pokrov front, we have fighting reported as Zelenipole, Vodyanin Druhi, Malinivka, and Yelizavetivka. The Malinivka is mentioned by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. We have no more frontline updates around this sector. This was a terrible looking sector in terms of like for the Ukrainians. It looks really bad. We have geolocation of Russian forces storming into the highway exchange previously, but there was no more updates since. This is a 3-day SITREP, and we are now in the 4th day, well into the 4th day since the day I'm trying to report now. We have no updates in terms of the front line in this sector, which is super unusual. I think the next intel drop is going to be pretty bad. Like, that's just the feeling that I get, that there will be some massive frontline changes around this sector. But clearly, of course, the Ukrainians will be putting a lot of effort to try to plug this freaking hole here. And we shall see how this go. It's just quite bad. Like, so there is a highway, so the Ukrainians could potentially send in reinforcement to plug the hole here more easily, perhaps. So let's see. Maybe the Ukrainians are doing a good job. Who knows? Over in the New York front, or not New York front, Thorax front, because no more New York front. No fighting is ever in New York nowadays. Over at the Thorax front, fighting is reported over in Krimsky. Thorax, Shebenivka, Petrivka or Novopaske, as well as Leonidivka. As well as Dilievka was mentioned as well. Not sure how the fighting reached Dilievka. And the latest geolocation, this geolocation is only a few hours old at most. Russian forces is geolocated inside the industrial building. This, I think, is a mining place. Yeah, I never give a name to this place. In Krimsky, and this confirmed Russian advance into the northwest of Krimsky, and this also invalidates Ukrainian claims of the residential area in this northeast of Thorax. So this is a significant update for this area, and I know that I will still report this again in maybe a separate quick update or during the frontline changes report, because not everybody watches the SITREP because people think it's too long. Like only alpha males and alpha females, chats and chadettes, like you guys watched until 40 minutes. So, give yourself a pat on your shoulder. Slavati Pani. So that's all from this area here. Pretty significant. We move on over in the southern flank of the Bakhmut front. We have fighting reported Bilakhora, Priteshny, and Stupovsky. So largely nothing changed strategically in this area. Over in the northern flank, we have fighting reported at Previlia, which is a surprise, but it's a one-off. on the 16th, and then Kurakhove and Chasivya. Chasivya continues to defy my expectations because the Russians continue to push on over in Chasivya. This time around, we have two geolocations. One in the south center of Chasivya. The other one is over on the western side. These are all latest geolocations with Russian forces advancing. Especially this one, this is the latest. Russian forces is now basically on the western part of Chasivya. And they have captured the stadium, and the fighting continues in Chasivya for some reasons. And yeah, FPV drone, of course, continue to hit Ukrainians. So the fact that the Ukrainians are so close to the Russians in terms of geolocations, the fighting must be super fierce and super close. So yeah, yeah. So whatever it is, let's see how this goes, and let's see whether the Russians can defend this area after they capture it. Because yeah, like I said, this is a very complicated area. It's just hellish to fight here, in my opinion. So over in the Sivers front, this is pretty quiet place. Fighting is reported at Blokhovka, Verkhovokayamsky, and Ivanivka. The fighting is all on the 16th. I'm not sure why 16 is just such a interesting day. But I wasn't able to do a sit rep that day. I was doing quick updates and whatnot. So yeah, that's all. Over in the Liman front, the Liman front is getting super interesting, and I highly recommend you to get excited about this front because this breakthrough is getting more and more significant. You can see the number of geolocation, things are getting really active over there. Fighting is reported at Toske and Zarishny, but these two have, it cannot be compared to the fighting at Terny, Novosilka, and Ivanivka region. So let's zoom in and see. And I just want to say there is this one latest geolocation by Krimi Caprice, and this actually means that the Russian forces have captured Terny. So Russian forces captured Terny. This is a 19th of January. So this is the latest report. Because of this geolocation in the south of Terny, this based on my judgment call and based on the previous Russian announcement, Terny is under Russian capture. So this is a geolocation corroborating the Russian claims. So let's zoom in a bit more. So we move further up north. Over in the Ivanivka region, Russian forces have expanded control. This is the latest one in the northwest, north of Terny, which I said in my either conclusions or quick update that this is going to happen. And then the Russian forces have also pushed down the road. This is also one of the latest geolocation. Ukrainians are geolocated on the other side of the fortification. So the Russian forces have now opened up the bridgehead at Ivanivka, and they're seemingly heading in multiple directions. I personally think that this is more of a buffer, increasing of the buffer. This is a push, and this is a push to increase the buffer for now. I think the main push is coming in the south. So this is currently happening over in Terny, and let's see how this continues to play out. I did mention in my conclusions or the updates that the Russians is going to build up a bigger buffer in the north of Ivanivka, because tentatively doesn't look enough for now. So let's see. Move on over in the Kurakhove, Makiivka region. There is fighting reported over in Kurakhove, Makiivka, and Novosilka, but that's all. Novosilka haven't been seen reported to be fighting for a long time, but the spelling was a bit weird. It's Novosilka. But I believe this is the place. Moving further up north to the Borova front. At the Borova front, we have fighting reported at Novosilka, Sverdlovklibove. Fighting is reported at Novosilka, Kopanki, Stepi, or Petroshevneve. Frontline change. There is frontline changes over at Zeleny High as the Russians attack Zeleny High. Fighting is reported at Zarizove, Lozova, Bohuslavka, and Novoplatonivka. So this actually is a pretty fierce front line. You can see the number of arrows, number of reports for fighting around here. This front line is around 30 kilometers long. Of course, this is just a straight line. If you go by the border calculation, it's going to be much longer. You probably like 35, 36 kilometers, I guess. So very very long front line around here. So even though like on the screen it doesn't look like much, but actually the distance here is actually pretty, yeah, it's actually pretty big. You can see how small the 1 kilometer dots is from one another. So because of the curvature of the earth, freaking the round earth thing just doesn't work. Come on, the earth become flat, flat earth works better. Okay. Over in the Pichani region, we also have fighting reported, not just Zarizove, but Kurakhove as well. And then we go into the Kupiansk front. At the Kupiansk front, we have fighting reported at Holubivka, Petropavlivka. Uh, this one is Zagoryukivka, Stepova, Novosilka, as well as Pischani. Some tiny frontline change over at Stepova, Novosilka along the highway was noted, but yeah, this nothing much. Distance between the Kupiansk all the way to the current in that geolocation is around 16 kilometers. So this is also a very massive front line, very big front line. So yeah, things looks like it's crawling because yeah, it's just a big place. Over in Voreshna front, there is still fighting reported here. The last report was on the 16th by the Russian Defense Ministry. Fighting is reported at Voreshna and Zapatny. And that's all. We don't have anything else. 17 was a 1 week summary, so we don't have information about that. Geolocation of this is one of the latest geolocation. FPV drone strike over Ukrainian tank at Kayamka, just next to the border. So yeah, nothing much. If is anything, yeah. But the Ukrainians sent a tank there somehow. So must be something is catching Ukrainian attention that they sent a tank into a pretty super cold front. Like if you send any tanks around this kind of front line, it feels like a waste, like a waste of resources. So the fact that the tank was sent to Kayamka, that shows the Ukrainian concern of that region. There must be these Topoli attacks, that is giving the Ukrainians some concerns. Over in the Kharkiv front, at the Kharkiv front, we have fighting reported at Verchansky Kotori, no, not Verchansky Kotori, Terny, and Voschansk, as well as that's all. A lot of geolocations though. These are all FPV drone strikes all over the place. And there's a assault group here. So this some fighting inside Klipoke. So not particularly important. It just shows that there is fighting there, but geolocation was noted, but no reports of fighting was noted from both sides. So it just shows you that even though we have all these fighting reports, all these fighting reports is not definite, but like it's not reality. It's just the report that they put from the Russian or Ukrainian Defense Ministry. But maybe there's way more fighting happening. I'm quite sure there's a long front line. There's definitely skirmishes around. So yeah, just don't take it as a reality. Like even our mapping, in DPS mapping, I always say this is just a possibility, a signal of what the front line might look like. This is not reality. Sometimes I just need to tell this from time to time, because sometimes people forget that they think that is reality, but it's not. This is not the reality. So this is just a illustration of a possibility of where the fighting was. So yeah, so just take note on that. In Taike, geolocation of Russian forces in the north of Taike, invalidating Ukrainian claims. Russian forces indeed is now in this region here. So they have taken positions around here. This has been taking forever for the Russians to take. They wanted to go all the way to the river, the Voschka River, I think it's like this, and the Ukrainians still host Taike over here. The length of Taike is around 2 kilometers, so not small, not big, but yeah. So that's all from the Kharkiv front, and we move into the Kursk front. At the Kursk front, the Russians continue their generally continue their counter-offensive. Ukrainians continue to pour in troops, I believe, to hold a position. The continued accusation of North Koreans are dying in large numbers in Kursk. All this cannot be corroborated. This is just not corroboratable. Like the only evidence that I feel like is believable that there's North Koreans here is purely that two POWs that spoke Korean, or at least they spoke Korean to them, and then they, at least one of them spoke Korean. But otherwise, there's just like no other very clear details. The sort of pro-Ukrainian just keeps talking about how the North Koreans are dying and whatever, that. But like, it's a war, man. What's the point of them dying and then the front line don't change? I don't know. I don't know. Have you checked the population of North Korea? So it's like they can still do a lot more. So anyway, let's into the reports in the southern flank. Russian forces are attacking Syria, Magnovka, Kurilovka, Guevo, as well as Gorno. But the thing is, there's no frontline changes. Strategically, nothing have changed as per even 4 days ago. So no, I'm just going to go through quickly. Geolocation of FPV drone hitting Ukrainian forces. Nothing much to talk about. In the northern flank, we have fighting reported at Cherkasskoye, Porosnoye, Pogrebki, Novaya Sorokina, Malaya Loknia, Viktorovka, and Nikolsky. There's one important geolocation. This is the latest information. TOS is now deployed, which is a bad news for the Ukrainians. It struck this southern part or central part of Malaya Loknia, but this also shows that the Russians are not there. So the Ukrainians are definitely in this area. This weird island is actually mapped by the Ukrainians themselves previously, and I left it here forever. So now we have at least half of it definitely is under Ukrainian control because the Russians are here. This is where the Russians are. They at most they could have entered into the northern part of Malaya Loknia, maybe realize there's some resistance, and then they TOS the enemy in the south. So that could be what's happening over in Malaya Loknia. So let's wait and see how this continue to play out. The mapping here is continuing to be super dirty. So it's just terrible mapping. Over in the western flank, we only have fighting reported at Nikolaevo Darino, Svetiklovo, and Lebedevka. The only meaningful thing to talk about is that fighting is not mentioned in Nizhny Klin or Darino. Clearly shows that the Russians have already advanced the front line, with sufficient buffer to prevent reports of prevent any fighting being reported over in this region. The fighting have already moved on. So yeah, so that's all. And that's about it. I think this is all of the reports. So some other, like for those that watch to this point but you're not a long time DPA viewer, I do reports on missile strikes or shellings into Russia or into Kiev. All these are meaningless. We even I tell you it's meaningless because we can't see the effect. Even if there all these things, our focus is purely on the frontline actions and the frontline changes because these are the things that is more tangible. There's no point like the North Korean story. There's no point telling anyone that a lot of North Korean soldiers die, in stupid mid-wave, and maybe 40% or 60% of North Korean soldiers is already dead. So what? So what? So what? The curse front is still there. Ukraine still have to feed soldiers into the meat grinder, and then people still have to die. So unless they can conquer more of Kursk, then yeah, all it does is just drag on the conflict, and there's still more North Koreans in North Korea. So just saying. So anyway, that's it. So thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe. SITREP is for the OGs. For the Giga Chats, it's not. It's a pretty dry report. It's not as exciting as some of the other reports I try to do, which is more to get people to watch, of course. So that's it. Really tired. I'm super really tired. But anyway, after this DPA open mic, so yeah, so it's not over for me. So thank you for watching. See you guys at the DPA open mic. Links over here, and I'll see you guys in the next update. It will be here when it's up. No, if it's not up, I haven't created the stream. Bye guys.